Hello, by watching this video. My name is Jaspot, and welcome to Dagon. Dagon. I don't quite know exactly the name of this game. I just know it's D-A-G-O-N, but I think it's Dagon. I'm not 100% certain. I can't be sure. You may notice, hopefully it's noticeable, hopefully the lighting looks a lot better. I have a brand new ring light. It's like way bigger than my old one. I had a small one, probably about this size. Now it's a full like foot plus long, wide or whatnot, which is great. It's really convenient, and I really hope it makes my lighting look a little bit better. I don't know if it's going to be very noticeable. I don't think it's going to be a big difference, but I think it might be a small difference. It might look a little tad bit better. But other than that, I think we're just going to go hop on right on, because I know this game's about a half an hour long. So I don't want to like wait too long, because I don't really have a half an hour to waste, but we'll see how it goes. Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here. The movement is limited and progressing through the locations along with the plot. Okay, more plot oriented. I like that.
Strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Okay. During the gameplay, you encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journeys, others will reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and by the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder sign. You can also access all later. They will be available in the main menu. Cool. Alright, I appreciate just a little bit of an interactive story. I can do that right now.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
I don't have time to be stupid, unfortunately, like I usually do.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
And my camera might look a little different because of the lighting and because I moved it by accident, and now I can't get my original spot back, but I think it looks close enough, or close to it enough. I'm not quite sure. And I moved my mic even closer to my mouth, so hopefully my voice isn't too loud. Okay, also, let's just move on. Move on. I need to stop talking. Like I said, I don't have half an hour to waste.
Least frequented parts of the broad Pacific, that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Okay.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation, so that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Okay, now what do you want? That's one. Okay, let's go. Take a little look see at this, or whatnot. But yeah, this is all just story, it seems like.
Indeed was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Like I said, I don't mind too much for right now, because I feel like it is a nice little, give us a little bit break from me running around looking stupid all the time. It's a little convenient. Let's take a little quick look at this provisions and stuff like that. I do have a new series lined up for after this, so hopefully.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Instead of doing all these solo things.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
Very pretty
Of
game,
the
though.
longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Yeah, I'm sure that kind of sucks a little bit when you're just kind of going around for a long time. Taking a look at the moon? Is that what you're trying to look towards now?
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Yeah, that's gotta suck, like, going, like, I feel like the sun would probably be the worst part of the whole, being stranded on the water, to be completely honest. But I'm guessing you ran out of water.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
Keep forgetting I have to move the story myself. My bad.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Oh, great. Okay. Yep, that looks sane. That looks... Oh, God. Oh, God. No. Yeah, go back to bed. Go back to bed.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder, at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
Good man. Good man. Good man. That's the proper reaction.
Rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
I mean,
the region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
I was gonna say, at least you're on land, but nothing about this looks
Perhaps
habitable.
I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
Yeah, you seem a little screwed, my guy.
There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
Oh, it's like I
The sun
have to
was
keep my bad.
blazing
Keep
down
forgetting.
from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Well, looking at the inky marsh then. Okay, the origins of Dagon. Dagon seems to be inspired by Fishhead, a short novel written by Irvin S. Cobb about unnatural affinities between a hybrid idiot and the strange fish of an isolated lake. Supernatural horror in literature, H.P. Lovecraft. In Lovecraft's dream about a strange island emerging into the ocean and him crawling in the ooze that's covered its surface. I dreamed the whole thing of a hideous crawl, yet I can feel the ooze sucking me down. In defense of Dagon, H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft's interest in the topic stemmed from his aversion to fish and sea smells. In his own words, I've hated fish and feared the sea for everything that's connected with it since I was 2 years old, but I cannot recall what earlier experience gave me such profound and lasting aversion of the sea and seafood. The Dweller in the Darkness, Lovecraft, 1927, Donald Wandry, whatever that was. Okay, buddy, all I'm saying is, could you not? That would be, I think, great of all things. It's just, you know, not doing this whole situation. I feel like I don't feel like seeking to be
As I crawled into the
honest.
stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
What theory might that be?
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
That's actually a really good theory.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
You'll think you'd be able to hear them crawling
Nor
around,
were
but
there
that's
any
fine.
seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Yeah, they all seem pretty alive, to be honest. Well, you seem pretty normal.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Honestly, traveling and like
That
no.
night I slept but little, and the next day
Food
I
and water
made
is
for myself
impressive.
a pack containing food and water.
Oh, you do have food and water.
preparatory
Never
to
mind.
an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Yeah, you'd hope they'd figure out, you know, be confused by a giant landmass. That thing's glowing. Okay, great. Lovely. I wasn't expecting it to
On
glow.
the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
That's good.
The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
I'm impressed, 'cause I would have definitely tapped out by here, to be completely honest. Let's do that real quick, and let me move this over just a little bit more. It's way more left than it usually is, but I feel like it looks
All day
better.
I
I don't know.
forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Okay. Oh, yep. The mountain all the way in the distance. Just keep walking, my guy. Keep walking. That's a giant crab. Okay. Yep. No, I'm good. Move it. Keep moving. Keep walking, please. Thank God. Appreciate it. We're just gonna be stuck in an endless loop, aren't we?
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Scarily nearer. If the whole point is you getting close. No, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. You know, I know it wouldn't be a smart decision because of how heavy it is, but I would have recommended carrying the boat to give you some sort of shelter,
By the
but
fourth
I understand
evening,
why not.
I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Doesn't look that bad from here, to be honest.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface.
I feel like it's
Too
not the
weary
worst.
to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
At least you got some type of
I
sun
know not
resistance.
why
not
my
quite.
dreams were so wild that night.
Oh, you're gonna wake up on more dead fish, aren't you?
Ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Yeah.
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
I wish I had a narrator voice like this man's. Like, come on. Oh, like, please. Like, that's just like, give me a Markiplier voice.
The unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
Give me this guy's voice. I don't care.
But
Give me it.
My horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon.
Luckily, it hasn't happened much on camera, but my voice still cracks. So, like, I'm just, give me whatever he has.
Had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Up, jump now.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Yeah, that seems a little rough there, buddy, to be honest. Okay, what's all the way in this
Ledges
there?
and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
So you're just going for it? Alright, fair enough. I respect it, my guy. I literally just mentioned how I still have voice cracks and my voice cracked. That's great, that's great.
I cannot definitely analyze. I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
I can't believe my voice just cracked there.
Deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Why is that so square? Why is that so perfectly square? That's kind of weird, but okay. I'm moving towards it. I hope then, but yeah, I was yelling earlier, so my voice is a little shot, and so that's my excuse I'm going to give myself.
A gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
Yeah, that thing's way too straight.
Filled me with sensations I cannot express.
That's aliens. Isn't that a lot of H.P. Lovecraft stuff anyways?
Despite
Aliens?
its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
Yep.
Whose massive bulk,
That seems about right.
workmanship, and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed
Hopefully not.
and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Well, this is how you get killed, my brother. Okay, let's go down to the bottom of this thing and, you know, take your death like a man. If the monolith falls on you, then the monolith falls on you. Oh, you're across the water.
Down near the zenith,
There's water? Okay.
shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that head
Oh,
to
those
the
are faces.
chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go over there. You're going to go over there, aren't they? Okay, yep, you're going over there. How'd you get up that high? Wait!
Unknown to me.
Wait a second.
Unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
What are you floating on, my guy?
Consisting for the most part.
There isn't anything to stand on right there.
Aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
I guess he's just alien himself because he's literally floating down right now. What are you saying? Unknown to the modern world? Oh, wait, Jesus, I'm just realizing exactly what those are now. Okay, yep, no, I thought that was like a bird at first, but I'm realizing that's not supposed to be a bird. I thought that was a whale at first, but that's definitely not a whale. I don't know what that world that could be. That looks a spider, like an underwater spider. That just looks like a giant octopus. That just looks like a giant clam at the end. But those two things, yeah, no, I'm good.
Those decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Yeah, that thing. Or you, okay, yeah, that thing. Okay, Dagon contains many themes of storytelling methods that Lovecraft inspired in his later works, such as telling the story of the carvings, journals and characters' notes, island emerging from the ocean, or fictional beings and deities were based on real-world events and mythologies. So this is considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude a manner and similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details and synopsis. Yep, okay, cool. Down we go then.
Visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
Yeah, and that's really disturbing.
Creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto.
Oh, at least we know mermaids were real.
Homage at some monolithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail.
Even though we see the details right there.
Remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
That's the only dude that's really ugly. The rest of them I can deal with.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips.
How'd you get
glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked,
that's scary,
as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size.
It's absolutely disturbing.
Decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
Let's hope so.
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let's leave now, please. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me.
Never heard that word used like
Suddenly,
that. Oh, wait,
I saw
what?
it.
Oh, God!
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark.
No, 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 no. I thought, okay.
Fiend-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
At least you're able to hear noise for the first time in a few days, but I'm sure that scream would knock you out.
I went mad then.
Yep, I would recommend so. That's probably the only way you survive that.
My frantic ascent of the sloping cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Fair enough, I would too. Okay, run! Run, 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 run. Please just book it, because I would like to
I
survive.
sang a great deal, and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
That sounds about right. Okay, move it. I don't feel like dying today, my friend. I do not feel like dying today.
Distinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat.
Alright, let's get to bed in the boat, please. Get to bed in the boat.
I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Alright, yep, go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed. Go! What could have just jumped out there? Please tell me something didn't just jump out there. Something probably just jumped out there and was trying to kill me.
When
You know,
I
it's
came
great.
out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
I know how you got there, but I'm
Brought
impressed.
thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it either. Okay, what would this be? Okay, we'll read this real quick. Lovecraft is a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. In 1915, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short story, political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literary criticism when written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took his criticism to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from the writing poetry and concentrate on the weird fiction again. For the first time since his teenage years, Dagon Dagon, published in 1919, was one of the short stories written during that period. In this example excerpt from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can believe that an impossibility of universal peace is more than just the conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm one of the nations that would undoubtedly retain secret arraignments and the proper time to take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in a wild career in conquest against unarmed victims. No country is or ever can be above warfare until the basic impulses of the human shall have miraculously changed. Okay, that was a lot to read. Moving on. My life. Or am I gonna run into the fish guy again real quick? He's gonna give me a nice
I sought
uppercut.
out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Alright, well, let's take a read this one real quick. Dagon. Okay, that's how it's... Okay, Dagon is the main entity of the Philistines. Is that how it's worshipped throughout the Middle East and the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon can commonly noun for grain. Okay, the rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquest. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in the Syrian poem in the underworld, a prisoner warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken as the fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew, the word for dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's words, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by the secret cult called the Esoteric Order of the Dagon. Okay, wonderful. Who can I talk to and not sound crazy with? That would be great. I'd love that very much so, if possible.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Is that a Necronomicon? Of course that's a Necronomicon. Okay, let me read that real quick. Because Evil Dead. Alright, August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist that befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of the most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with the Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misrepresented in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the moral plane. I like how he said moral plane instead of just him passing away. That's great. That's useful. Okay, lovely. Moving on. Okay, great, lovely. I just go ahead and clicked all the way back to there. Great. Reading this though. Oh, listening to this though. But yeah, I've never really been into Lovecraft or anything like that. But I'm curious anyways. It's kind of neat, and yeah, that's I guess basically all I have to say about that. I've never really been into Lovecraft, but I've seen some of the movies before. I think movies inspired on his works and stuff like that. I'm a big horror movie fan, so I'm sure I've seen some that was inspired by his stuff.
Night, but especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
Yeah, I just like horror mythology in general.
But the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Well, that's unfortunate. Goodbye, my friend.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm.
Yeah, no, that's too real.
A mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat, after my escape from the German man of war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed.
The boat's gonna be taken, isn't it?
Their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
I do see all the social and political commentary in it, though. To be honest, I didn't realize, I didn't know like any of the stuff about him making the what was it
The end is near.
the conservative and all that. I didn't know that was H.P. Lovecraft.
As of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Well, this is gonna be fun, but yeah, I didn't know he could do the conservative or anything about this, so it's been interesting to learn and whatnot, because H.P. Lovecraft is such a polarizing name, so I was very curious about how this is gonna be. Hello! How are you doing today, fine gentlemen? I don't know how you're gonna be able to fit in this door, but
Hand.
I would be very impressed if you're able to fit in here.
The window.
The window? Sorry, I did the other one by accident. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, and he just jumped to his death. Great. Lovely. Alright, thank you for playing. We hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in a little pool of cosmic horror. We would appreciate it if you took a moment to Dagon, check out our other games and DLCs. Well, probably won't end up doing any of the other games or DLCs, but definitely very, very good. And if you guys are into H.P. Lovecraft or became interested because of this, because I definitely found this interesting, and it might be worth for myself to take a little bit of a bigger look into it at some point. Maybe if I'm bored on YouTube one night and can't sleep, like listen to it and like listen to some videos on it, because horror doesn't necessarily keep me awake anymore, like it does, except like playing horror games. Obviously, you guys have been able to tell can be a little rough sometimes with that, but in terms of watching stuff like that, I'm usually pretty good at it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. H.P. Lovecraft's might have to look into a little bit more stuff like that. Maybe play a couple more games that inspire on his works, because I'm sure there's plenty that can be very, very good, especially the cosmic horror and stuff like that. But yeah, didn't know he made the conservative. Didn't know he started all the horror stuff. I didn't know he did like political and poetry and all that stuff before he did all of his horror works. I only ever heard of him for his horror works, and really only heard like based off of H.P. Lovecraft stories. Never read any of them. Never did any of that. Never necessarily got into it. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the short story. I think it was a little bit of fun. I do have a pretty good idea for the next series that we're doing on this channel, so it won't be just one-offs like what we have been doing as of late, and I'm hoping to go ahead and get into it. I think it'll be really, really fun. I think because these videos tend to do well on my channel too, so I think it'll be very, very fun to get back into it. No promises on anything, that's why I'm not saying it, but I think it'll be fun. I have a couple of more ideas, grand ideas, whatever that may be. But yeah, other than that, hopefully the lighting and stuff like that looks better. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy. It's greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.